Go to your kitchen right now. I am serious. If you are sitting down, stand up and walk to your kitchen. Open your pantry cabinet. Look at what is in there, because I am going to make you a guarantee. And in 30 years of working with kidney patients, I have never made a guarantee I could not keep. I guarantee that at least one of the 3 foods I am about to show you is sitting in your kitchen right now, on your shelf, in your refrigerator, maybe on your counter, a food you have been eating regularly, possibly for years, possibly every single day, that you believe is either harmless or even good for you. A food that is doing something to your kidneys that no one has ever taken the time to explain to you. And here's the part that keeps me up at night as a physician. The damage these foods cause is not dramatic. It does not happen overnight. There is no sharp pain, no sudden warning, no moment where your body says stop. It happens slowly, quietly, one meal at a time, accumulating over months and years until one day a blood test comes back and a number is wrong and a doctor says your kidneys are struggling and you sit there thinking, how did this happen? I eat at home, I cook my own food, I thought I was doing everything right. That is exactly what my patients say every single time. My name is Dr. William Kane. I am a nephrologist, a kidney specialist, and I have spent decades sitting across from patients who are confused and frightened and asking that same question. How did this happen? Today I am going to answer that question before it becomes yours. Today I am going to show you the 3 most common kidney damaging foods that seniors eat daily, why they damage the kidneys at a biological level, and exactly what to eat instead so that you do not have to give up the flavors you love. Stay with me through all 3 because the 3rd one is the one that genuinely shocks people. It is something that almost every person over 60 has in their kitchen. It is something that has been marketed to seniors specifically as a health food. And the research on what it does to aging kidneys is something the food industry would very much prefer you never saw. Before we get into the 3 foods, I need to give you 1 minute of foundation because I want you to understand why people over 60 are specifically vulnerable to food-related kidney damage in a way that younger adults are not. Here is the reality that most people are never told. By the time you reach 60, your kidneys have already lost somewhere between 30 and 40% of their peak filtering capacity simply due to the normal aging process. This is not disease, this is biology. Every decade after 40, kidney function naturally declines. The nephrons, the microscopic filtering units inside each kidney, approximately 1 million of them per kidney, gradually reduce in number and efficiency as we age. Blood flow to the kidneys decreases. The glomerular filtration rate, which is the measurement of how much blood your kidneys can process per minute, declines steadily. This means that at 60, your kidneys have significantly less reserve capacity than they did at 30. They can still do their job, but they are working with less margin, less room for error, less ability to handle excess burdens. And the foods I am about to show you create burdens. Specific, measurable, biochemically documented burdens that younger kidneys handle without difficulty, but aging kidneys increasingly struggle to manage. What is acceptable for a 40-year-old can be genuinely damaging for a 65-year-old. The kidneys have changed. The rules have changed with them. And most people over 60 are still eating by the old rules. Food number 1, processed deli meats and cured meats. Ham, turkey slices from the deli counter, salami, bologna, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, canned corned beef. These foods are in the refrigerators and pantries of the majority of American seniors. They are convenient, inexpensive, familiar, and they have been part of most people's eating habits for decades. And they are silently loading your kidneys with something far more dangerous than most people realize. Something that is not listed clearly on any nutrition label and that your doctor may never have specifically warned you about. The danger is not primarily the sodium, although the sodium is a serious problem that I will address. The primary danger is something called inorganic phosphate additives. And this is where I need you to pay very close attention, because this is information that the food industry does not want prominently discussed. Food manufacturers add phosphate compounds to processed meats for multiple reasons. They act as preservatives that extend shelf life. They improve texture and moisture retention. That is why deli turkey stays moist and sliceable instead of drying out. They enhance flavor. They bind ingredients together in processed products like hot dogs and bologna. The phosphate additives used include sodium phosphate, disodium phosphate, potassium phosphate, sodium hexametaphosphate, and sodium tripolyphosphate. You will find these listed in small print in the ingredients section of almost every processed meat product on the market. Here is why this is catastrophic for aging kidneys. Phosphorus is a mineral that healthy kidneys regulate with precision. When phosphorus levels in the blood rise, the kidneys filter it out and excrete it through urine. But when kidneys are aging or damaged, their ability to excrete phosphorus declines. Phosphorus accumulates in the blood, and elevated blood phosphorus, a condition called hyperphosphatemia, triggers a cascade of damage that is well documented in nephrology research. First, excess phosphorus pulls calcium out of the bones. Over time, this weakens the skeleton and contributes to the bone disease associated with chronic kidney disease. Second, and more immediately dangerous, high phosphorus causes calcium to deposit inside blood vessels, a process called vascular calcification. Calcium deposits in the arteries feeding the kidneys restrict blood flow to the nephrons, accelerating kidney function decline. Third, elevated phosphorus activates a hormone called FGF23, which is produced by the bones in response to phosphorus overload. Research published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology has shown that elevated FGF23 is independently associated with faster kidney disease progression, cardiovascular disease, and increased mortality in CKD patients. Now here is the critical detail that most people miss. The phosphate in natural foods, the phosphorus that occurs naturally in chicken, fish, or beans, is bound to organic compounds that the intestines can only partially absorb. Studies show that the body absorbs approximately 40 to 60% of naturally occurring phosphorus from whole foods. But the inorganic phosphate additives in processed meats are free phosphate salts. They are designed to be absorbed rapidly and efficiently. Research has shown that inorganic phosphate additives are absorbed at rates approaching 90 to 100%, meaning the phosphate hit from a few slices of processed deli meat is dramatically higher than the same weight of chicken breast, even though a nutrition label might show similar phosphorus values, because standard nutrition labels do not distinguish between organic and inorganic phosphorus. This is not a minor technical distinction. It is a fundamental difference in how your body processes and how your kidneys must handle these compounds. Let me tell you about Vincent. Vincent was 66 years old, a retired police officer from New Jersey who prided himself on eating at home. He had given up fast food years ago. He cooked his own meals. But every day, without fail, Vincent had a sandwich for lunch. 2 thick slices of deli ham on whole wheat bread with mustard. Sometimes a few slices of salami. He had been doing this for 15 years. It was his routine. It was reliable. It felt healthy compared to what he used to eat. When Vincent came to see me after his primary care physician flagged an elevated creatinine of 1.8 and a phosphorus level of 5.2 above the normal range, I asked him to walk me through his daily meals. When he got to the sandwich, I asked him to bring me the packaging of his deli ham the next visit. He did. The ingredients listed sodium phosphate, sodium hexametaphosphate, and potassium phosphate, 3 separate phosphate additives in one product. We removed the processed deli meats entirely and replaced them with home-cooked alternatives. Within 3 months, Vincent's phosphorus level had dropped to 4.3 and his creatinine had stabilized. He had not changed anything else. The safe swap for processed deli meats is simple and genuinely satisfying. Roast your own meat at home over the weekend, a chicken breast, a turkey tenderloin, a small pork loin, slice it yourself and store it in the refrigerator for sandwich use throughout the week. You get the same convenience, the same flavor, the same texture, with none of the phosphate additives. Freshly roasted chicken breast sliced thin on whole wheat bread with mustard and lettuce is indistinguishable in satisfaction from deli turkey. And it is processing without the processing. Food number 2, canned soups and instant noodle products. I want you to pick up any can of soup from your pantry right now. Chicken noodle, tomato, vegetable beef, minestrone, anything. and look at the sodium content on the nutrition label. Look at the number for one serving. Then look at how many servings are in the can. Almost always it is 2 servings per can, which means that if you eat the whole can, which most people do, you are looking at sodium content that ranges from 1,600 to 2,400 milligrams in a single meal. The recommended daily sodium intake for someone with kidney concerns is 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams for the entire day. One can of soup can consume your entire day's sodium allowance in a single sitting. And instant noodle products, the kind that come in cups or packets that you simply add hot water to, are often even more concentrated. A single cup of instant ramen can contain between 1,500 and 1,800 milligrams of sodium, a product marketed as a quick, warm, comforting meal for seniors. Here is the mechanism through which sodium destroys kidney health specifically, because I want you to understand this at a level deeper than simply salt is bad for blood pressure. When you consume high sodium, your body retains water to dilute the sodium concentration in the blood. This increases blood volume. Increased blood volume raises blood pressure. Sustained high blood pressure damages the delicate blood vessels in the kidneys, the afferent arterioles that feed blood into the glomeruli. As these vessels thicken and lose their elasticity, the pressure they deliver to the glomeruli increases, causing a process called glomerular hypertension. The glomeruli are not designed to handle sustained high pressure. Under chronic pressure stress, the filtration membrane thickens and scars. Scarred glomeruli cannot filter efficiently. Filtration rate drops, creatinine rises. This is not theoretical. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine demonstrated that dietary sodium reduction produced measurable reductions in proteinuria, the leaking of protein through damaged kidney filters, independently of blood pressure changes, meaning sodium was damaging the kidneys through mechanisms beyond blood pressure alone. The kidney's filtration membrane appears to be directly sensitive to sodium load in ways that are only beginning to be fully understood. There is also the potassium problem with canned products. Many canned soups contain tomatoes, potatoes, spinach, and other high potassium vegetables that are concentrated during the canning process. For someone with declining kidney function, whose kidneys are already struggling to excrete potassium, a bowl of canned vegetable soup can deliver a potassium load that the kidneys simply cannot handle safely. Barbara was 69 years old, a widow from Minnesota who lived alone and found canned soups to be the perfect solution for one-person meals. Warm, easy, no waste. She had 2 or 3 servings of canned soup per week and considered it a reasonable, healthy choice. Certainly better than frozen pizza or takeout. Her daughter brought her to see me after a routine blood panel showed a potassium level of 5.8 and a creatinine of 2.0. When we went through her diet, the soups appeared. One variety she regularly ate contained 890 milligrams of sodium per serving and 2.5 servings per can. She had been consuming over 2,000 milligrams of sodium from that single product alone, not counting anything else she ate that day. We also found elevated potassium, likely contributed by the tomato and potato content of the soups. The transition away from canned soups was easier than Barbara expected. The safe swap is homemade broth-based soups prepared with kidney-friendly vegetables, cauliflower, green beans, cabbage, carrots, bell peppers, using no added salt broth as the base and seasoning with herbs, garlic, and black pepper instead of sodium. Barbara now makes a large batch on Sunday and portions it through the week. Her sodium intake dropped dramatically. Her potassium normalized within 6 weeks, and she told me the homemade soup actually tastes better, because it does. If convenience is genuinely necessary, there are low-sodium canned soups available, products with under 400 milligrams per serving, but they require careful label reading and are harder to find. Read every label, every time. The sodium content of different brands of the same soup category can vary by a factor of 3. I want to stop here for a moment before we get to food number 3. If this video has already surprised you, if you have already thought of something sitting in your kitchen right now that you are going to look at differently after today, please tap the like button right now while that feeling is fresh, because YouTube uses that signal to put this video in front of other men and women over 60 who are eating these exact foods right now, tonight, with no idea what they are doing to their kidneys. Your tap is an act of kindness to a stranger you will never meet. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss what is coming next week on this channel. And down in the comments, tell me, did either of these first two foods surprise you? Type yes in the comments if you have one of them in your kitchen right now. I read every single comment, and I mean that. Now, food number three. Food number three, packaged whole grain bread and whole wheat cereals marketed as heart healthy. I told you this one would shock you, and I understand if your immediate reaction is disbelief. Whole grain bread, whole wheat cereal. These are the foods that doctors have been telling people for decades to eat more of. The foods with the heart-healthy labels and the fiber content claims on the front of the package. The foods that seniors specifically have been guided toward as smart, responsible choices. I am not here to tell you that fiber is bad. Fiber is essential. I am not here to tell you that whole grains have no nutritional value. They do. What I am here to tell you is that there is something inside commercially packaged whole grain breads and many popular whole grain cereals that is quietly and systematically damaging aging kidneys. And it is something that the marketing on the front of the package will never tell you about. That something is phosphate additives. The same category of additives we discussed with processed meats, but appearing in a food that nobody associates with kidney risk. Let me explain why whole grain products specifically are a vehicle for phosphate additives. Whole grain flour, unlike refined white flour, contains natural phytic acid in the bran layer of the grain. Phytic acid binds to minerals including phosphorus, calcium, and iron, and reduces their absorption.